Language Learning Series, Developing an English Brain.
All right, let's talk about it. Let's tackle one of the biggest, most frustrating hurdles in language learning. How to get past just knowing English and actually start thinking and speaking it, fluently. Doesn't this just drive you nuts? You've put in the work, you've memorized the grammar rules, the vocabulary lists, but when you actually try to speak, it just feels clunky, awkward, unnatural. Does that sound at all familiar? And believe me, it is a painful feeling. I've been there. You're putting in all this effort, but you're just not seeing the results, and you start to feel stuck. But here's the good news, and it's really good news. This has absolutely nothing to do with how smart you are. It's all about a tiny misunderstanding and how fluency actually works.
And that misunderstanding leads us right into something we can call the fluency trap. It's that spot where all your hard work feels like it's getting you absolutely nowhere, and it's a super common place to get stuck.
So here's the big reveal. The problem isn't you. It is not your effort. The real issue here is the method your brain is defaulting to. You're probably running on what we'll call a translation brain, and that, right there, is what's holding you back.
So let's break this down. Let's look at the two competing systems that are probably battling it out in your head. The slow, clunky translation brain versus the fast, natural English brain. This is the core conflict that we need to solve. Okay, check out this example. It's perfect. Imagine you see a little kid who's being really well behaved. The translation brain kicks in, it thinks in your native language, searches for the direct word-for-word equivalent, and spits out, "You are obedient." I mean, it's technically correct, but who talks like that? Nobody. Now, the English brain, it just skips all that. It sees the context, a kid being good, and instantly, boom, good boy. That's the difference right there. So let's look under the hood of that clunky translation brain. It's this whole four-step ordeal. First, you see something. Then you think about what you'd say in your own language. Step 3, you start mentally rummaging for the right English words. And finally, you try to piece together a sentence. It's slow, it's exhausting, and it's exactly why speaking feels like such hard work. Now compare that mess to the English brain. It's so elegant, right? Just 2 simple steps. You see the situation, and you directly access the natural English expression. There's no middleman, no translation delay. It's fast, it's automatic, and this is where fluency lives. This is where we want to be.
So if we're all kind of taught to translate, why does it fail so spectacularly in the real world? Well, let's look at a few more examples where this whole method just completely falls apart.
All right, picture this. It's a high-stakes moment, maybe the final seconds of a big game. A direct translation might come out something like this. You kind of get the idea, but it sounds like a line from a bad movie robot. It completely misses the tension and the drama of the moment.
Now, what would you actually hear someone say? Something more like this. This has punch. This is something you'd hear on a Netflix show. It carries the exact same meaning, but it does it with rhythm and real emotion. And here's the thing. You don't learn this phrase by translating words. You acquire it from a real context.
Okay, here's another super common, everyday scenario. Again, is this sentence grammatically wrong? Nope, it's perfectly logical. But it's just not what a native speaker would probably say. It feels a little constructed, like you carefully assembled it with parts from a dictionary. Now, the English brain version just feels more alive. It uses evocative phrases like "in the sun," and then there's that great word, infinitely. You don't learn to use infinitely that way by memorizing its definition. You learn it by hearing someone use it to express a really strong feeling, and you connect the word to that feeling. Let's do a sports example. Imagine you're describing a team that's under a ton of pressure. They start strong attack, but we hold it. It's fine, but it's so clunky. The words just don't capture the dynamic energy of a real game.
Okay, but now listen to this. This is a phrase from an actual NBA player's interview. It's a metaphor. They threw a vicious punch perfectly captures that feeling of a sudden, fierce attack. And hanging in there perfectly describes resilience. This is pure context. You can't get to this phrase through translation. You just can't.
So you're probably asking, okay, I get it. How do I make the switch? Well, it all comes down to one crucial mindset shift. You have to start training yourself to think directly in English. So here it is. This is the core of the method. It's all about forging a direct link in your brain between a real-world context and its natural expression. You see the situation, you feel the situation, and you immediately access the right phrase, completely cutting out that translation middleman. Maybe the most powerful way to think about this is to stop treating English like a school subject. It's not just knowledge, it's a physical skill. Think about it. You can't learn to swim by reading a book, right? You have to actually get in the water. It's the same with language. It's all about practice, practice, practice until you build that muscle memory.
Okay, this all sounds great in theory, but how do you actually put it into practice? How do you do it? Well, it all starts with building a brand new learning habit.
From now on, I want you to stop asking, what does this word mean? Instead, you're going to ask these 3 powerful questions. First, what was the communication goal here? What was the person trying to do? Second, what was the natural phrase they used to do it? And third, the most important one, can I connect that phrase to that situation so strongly that it becomes automatic?
Ultimately, it all boils down to this one big shift in perspective. True fluency isn't something that's learned from a textbook. It's acquired through exposure to real-world context and lots of repetition until the language stops feeling foreign and starts feeling like a part of you.
So, let's end this with a little challenge. For this week, I want you to forget about vocabulary lists. Instead, just watch a show, listen to a conversation, and find one situation. Pay attention to the natural phrase that was used, and your only job is to connect that phrase to that context. Start building your English brain one real expression at a time.